Welcome back to another episode of the Bit Beacon broadcast. It's episode 023.
I'm Ravenheart.
I'm Codax, and it's February 28th, 2024, the same day as the previous episode.
Yep.
If you're jumping into this one first, you might want to go listen to episode 22 first, because we're kind of feeding into each other.
Honestly, I'd say start with episode 21, because that leads to stuff in 22, and then that leads to stuff in this episode.
And then the chain never ends.
Yeah.
So you may as well just go back to episode 1.
Start with episode 1.
Yeah. Okay, so since we're recording this the same day as the previous episode, we're not going to have it's not going to be a Seraphim update, because we just gave the Seraphim update.
Yep.
There's not going to be an update about what we've been up to, because we gave that update in the last episode. But I do want to talk about, real briefly, another purchase experience I had this past week. I ordered GameStop over the weekend, put up some crazy sale where they had all these like normally $40, $60 games for like $20 a piece. Mm-hmm. And these are like games that generally in these series they go up in value significantly. They go out of print.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? This is a good opportunity to get 4 new sealed games for my collection.
Oh, I see.
And so yesterday, the package finally arrives for my purchase. I ordered, I believe it's pronounced Ys, or Y-S.
Ys, yeah.
Ys. This is number 9 in the series, Monstrum Nox. I picked up Gal Guardian Demon Purge. This is from the creators of Mighty Gunvolt, or Gunvolt Chronicles, and the people who made the last couple Mega Man games, Inti Creates. And I got two games from the Legends of Heroes series, Trails into Reverie and Nayuta Boundless Trails. And imagine my surprise, having purchased 4 brand new games and receiving 1 brand new game and 3 games with stickers, dirt, residue, damage to the boxes, damage to the cover art, and of course unsealed.
Yeah, no shrink wrap at all.
No shrink wrap on them. We just talked about the importance of shrink wrap in the last episode.
Yep.
And when you buy a new game, you expect shrink wrap.
Yeah, a sealed copy.
A sealed copy of the game. Now, I should have known better than to order these from GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, I've gone into a store before and asked for a game, and they only had the last copy left, and it's a new, unopened copy.
Right. Their idea of new is not our idea of new. I know that from personal experience for sure.
So, but, you know, I'm thinking, oh, this is probably coming from a warehouse. Mm-hmm. But clearly they shipped it from a store.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They just shipped directly from the... I was shocked that a store happened to have all 4 of these games in stock.
Yeah.
Because they're not, like, mainstream titles.
They might not all be from the same store. They probably sent it all to one store.
I mean, it shipped quick. Like, within a few hours of my order, like, immediately the next morning, I had, like, your orders confirmed.
Yeah, okay.
So I think they actually did all come from one. It must have been, like, from some middle of nowhere store that, like, people aren't into these kinds of games there.
You know how they put the disc in, like, a yellow sleeve and keep the case behind the counter? Yeah. That's got to be what that is.
Yeah, no, definitely. But you can feel there's, like, the cases are, like, indented and pushed in. There's even, like, a little tear in the artwork. Oh,
they were on the shelf.
Yeah. This is even worse than that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't get one that had, like, a printed from the internet sleeve.
Yeah.
Oh, here's new.
Right.
But anyways, this is just, it was like so disappointing because what's crazy is that Amazon ended up price matching GameStop's sale. Mm-hmm. And so if I had waited and just ordered from Amazon, I would have got guaranteed brand new sealed copies. But in my head, I'm thinking, I want to support GameStop more than I want to support Amazon.
Right. And that is a good way of thinking. Unfortunately, GameStop is taking for granted the fact that, they still exist.
Yeah.
And should be working to make themselves, competitive.
So immediately I was like, I'm going to return these and I'm going to just order them on Amazon.
Yeah.
But by the time I go to Amazon, all these games out of stock.
Gone, yeah.
Yeah, the sale got enough people to buy them, so wiped Amazon out of their stock.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm not as big on sealed copies.
For me, it's just I paid for new.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want new.
There's a principle thing there that I totally get.
And it's like, I will open these games one at a time as I play them.
Yes.
But until I play them, they should be sealed.
Yes.
That's kind of my...
That's how I do it too.
Yeah.
Keep them sealed. If it goes way up in price, you have a sealed copy.
Right. And it's like, so anytime I'm like pulling out like a back catalog game to finally get around to playing to, if it's sealed, I do quickly go online and I'm like, okay, well maybe I don't open this one and I get myself a used copy or something.
Yeah. If it's going for like $400 sealed or something.
Yeah, I'll just go buy a digital copy and keep my physical copy sealed.
Right.
Yeah.
Or sell it and get a used one.
Or that, yeah.
For like a tenth.
Yeah, exactly. Just frustrating, wanting to support a brick and mortar physical games retailer.
Yes.
And I go out of my way to do that, and I get burnt.
Do better, GameStop.
Yeah. Seriously, guys. There's no reason.
With the whole GameStonks incident that happened a few years back, they got a second wind for free.
Oh, yeah.
You think they wouldn't take that for granted. You think they would say, okay, this is it. This is...
Yeah, they apparently have a huge war chest.
Yeah.
They're flush with cash.
Yeah.
They have
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because they're still closing stores and I'm not sure what they're...
Liquidating games that are still brand, not that old.
I don't mind getting a game at a good deal.
No, I don't either, but remember when GameStop had Genesis and NES and stuff and they just sold games, all games? Yeah. Imagine if they still did that.
Yeah.
They'd be... Their whole inventory would have gone up in price with the whole speculative bubble.
Yeah.
They would be rich.
Well, they tried to start selling retro games again. I think during the pandemic, when they're always late reacting to things. They preemptively get out of a situation they should have stayed in, and they always try to jump into their NFT thing, which collapsed on them.
I didn't even know they.
Yeah, they tried, of course, to latch themselves onto that, and their whole marketplace ended up failing. Mm-hmm. So they tried that. They tried to get back into retro games, and it's just all just gone to heck for them. Just stop. Just focus on games. Yeah. Always sell games.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff they could do that they don't.
On one hand, we talk about it a lot. The physical games.
The importance of having physical media.
Right. Yeah. And GameStop is the only place that truly focuses on offering that. Even though they have a lot of distractions.
You want to support GameStop if you're on our side of that cause. But when they do stuff like this, it is extremely disappointing.
Yeah, it stings.
And this happens in the store.
I expect it in the store. I do expect it in the store.
Yeah.
But I thought because I was ordering enough games that it would have to come from the warehouse and not an individual store.
Right. It'd be new.
Yeah. But man, yeah. At least I guess one came sealed. I'm supposed to be grateful for that. And that was the one I actually wanted to play first.
You're really?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, and GameStop charges you have to spend $80 to get free shipping now.
What?
Yeah, otherwise it's $10.99 to ship a single game from GameStop. What
the heck? What are they doing? Yeah. What are they doing?
I thought Limited Run had crazy shipping prices, but that's nuts. No, $10.99 for a single game that they might even ship down the street for me.
Right.
They're just trying to make money on the shipping.
Yeah. Work on getting your company to be competitive.
Yeah. Because, it feels like they're almost like they want to go out of business.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, with some of the stuff they do, yeah, it feels exactly that way.
I don't know. And maybe that's their plan. Maybe they just
grab as much cash as they can on their way out.
Yeah. But we're going to jump into the first big piece of news that we had from last week and that we teased at the end of our last episode. It's the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. This was delayed due to the Xbox business update, but it finally came out. People were kind of disappointed to learn that it was a partner showcase, which means that there's not really Nintendo first-party titles being featured. It's just going to be focused primarily on titles from their third-party partners. So temper your expectations. There aren't really any megatons here. There's some exciting announcements, but some of it is things we already knew about.
Yeah.
Some of it is just like some remasters, but there is some cool things in here. So this aired on February 21st. I think it was about 20 minutes long. And we're just going to kind of talk about some of the games that were announced. They kicked things off fairly early on in the presentation with Disney's Epic Mickey Rebrushed. So Epic Mickey was this huge... Well, at the time, it was kind of a big deal. Nintendo had it featured heavily at their press conference. They invited the game's creator, Warren Spector, out on stage to demo the game. I think with Miyamoto.
Yeah.
I think they were like side by side. And it's a game where you play as Mickey Mouse and you have this kind of like paint system where you kind of make things disappear and reappear.
You use the motion control, right, for the paint mechanic.
It used the motion controls, yes. And it revolved around this story of the forgotten original Disney mascot, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And because of that game, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit got this sort of second wind from Disney. And like they started giving him a bunch of merchandise and like the theme parks and things. So it's kind of cool to see a game have sort of an effect on like Disney in real life.
Right.
And so that's exciting. I love that first game. I know there was a sequel, which I did not hear so many great things about. But I don't know that I'll be willing to drop $60 on Epic. I still have my copy for the Wii.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine... I mean, I'm sure it will look a lot nicer.
Right.
But, like, the experience on the Wii was great, especially with the pointer. Right. And so, you really felt like you were, like, kind of brushing and things.
Right. No, I know that game is, like, iconic.
Yeah. I mean, Mickey hadn't had a game in a long time. Right. I mean, Mickey, it's weird. He is almost, like, forgotten by Disney outside of, like, video games.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's at the theme park, sure, waving to people, but, like, they don't do anything with Mickey.
Right. He's a logo.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, it's just like a walking logo. But the games are what, like, still keeps his... I mean, you have Kingdom Hearts, of course, and then the Disney Epic Mickey game brought him back in a big way, and then we've had some other smaller games here and there over the last few years.
And he goes back to, World of Illusion and Castle of Illusions and all
like,
that stuff.
Even the latest Mickey game from last year, it had Illusion in the title, which didn't really have anything to do with those Illusion games, but, like, at least they kind of, related it to that.
Right.
Another announcement was World of Goo 2. I believe they may have touched on this in the last main Nintendo Direct, but they showed off a lot more of the game, and World of Goo was a Wii game, I think a WiiWare game originally.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool to see. It's like these older Nintendo's like pulling out these older IPs or working with the developers to like help bring them over to like new generation of consoles. And Nintendo's in their twilight years of the Switch. Right. And so it kind of makes sense that we're getting more of these kinds of titles and less of Nintendo's big first party titles.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of refreshing, It's remember how many Mario related titles were in the last Nintendo Direct?
I know, yeah.
So it's nice to see some other third-party developer titles here.
Yeah, get featured, and like Nintendo gives them the big stage.
Yeah,
and it says, "Hey, this is all you. We're not going to overshadow you at any point during this."
Right.
But yeah, clearly Nintendo is holding all of their new games for whatever is coming next for Switch.
All of their resources at this point are geared toward next-gen hardware, for sure.
I mean, they must have something for this holiday season.
Yeah.
People are thinking maybe Metroid Prime 4 that was announced as being a Switch game, like way back at like the very beginning of the Switch's life cycle.
Right.
So, and you know, they still have the Princess Peach game, which comes out next month.
Showtime?
Yeah, Princess Peach Showtime. That comes out in March.
Yep.
There's the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake that's coming out later this year. And I think there's maybe one... Oh, there's the remake of Luigi's Mansion 2 for Switch.
Yeah.
So there are some things coming, but yeah, none of them are, you know, like earth-shattering at this point. Like, they've already been announced.
Yeah.
They haven't said
They're not going to be big staple titles that are remembered in the console library.
Yeah. You know, they're mostly remakes. Although I'm excited about Princess Peach Showtime.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, there's a lot of stuff to be excited about.
Yeah. From World of Goo 2, we've got Penny's Big Breakaway. Now, why I'm highlighting this game is because it's from the developers of Sonic Mania.
Oh, shoot.
The Western team, not Japanese team that made Sonic Mania, is basically trying their hand at their own IP, but it's not a 2D side-scroller, it's a like 3D Sonic-esque kind of game.
Okay.
Where you're like going around collecting, not rings, you know, like it's sort of got some parallels to like the 3D like Dreamcast kind of Sonic titles.
Is Sega involved?
No.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Gotcha.
This is their wholly independent venture now.
Gotcha.
And that game was a shadow drop, so it's like available now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like they had announced it I think last year, but they released it the moment the Direct went live effectively.
Cool.
And then we have Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. This maybe was the announcement that got me the most excited. This is not just coming to Switch, it's also coming to PS5, PS4, and the Xbox consoles. So this is a port of the original 2 Battlefront games from PlayStation 2, Xbox generation of games, or of consoles. So back like when we were in high school is when these games were out.
Oh yeah, the Star Wars Battlefront games. Yeah.
And these games, in my opinion, are so much better than the ones made by EA.
Oh yeah.
They don't have any microtransactions. Everyone's on the same playing field. There's no leveling up every little card.
Loot boxes.
Yeah. None of that stuff is in the game.
Yeah.
You played this game because it was fun to play.
Yeah.
Not because you had all these XP bars filling up and leveling up for every little doodad and gadget you had equipped.
Premium currency.
Yeah, none of that exists.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And these are 64-player battles. That was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
On PS2.
Yeah, right.
Like, absolutely mind-blowing. And it's cool that it's not watered down. They're bringing all that back. There's even, like, they've added in some maps that were only available on like a special Xbox version of the game.
Okay.
So now they're going to be available on all platforms. Unfortunately, there's no crossplay between like Switch, PS5, and Xbox. So you may want to consider which ecosystem you pick these games up on, because you know you got to think about long term where a player's going to be.
Right.
You know. So I don't know I don't know that I'd invest in it on Switch.
Yeah.
But, you know, PlayStation or Xbox is probably a safer bet.
I would think PS5 if I had to pick one.
Yeah. I mean, these games are really... There's a whole, like, campaign mode for these games, too. And, like, they're a lot of fun to play offline with bots as well. Like, you don't need... So, like, I could see it being fun to have on Switch.
Yeah. Oh,
so, you know, being on an airplane and playing Classic Battlefront.
But now we have the PlayStation Portal.
That's true. Well, that's hard.
Can't do it on an airplane.
I
tried.
Not. You tried. We put that to science.
Yeah, we did. Doing the hard work out here.
That's right. No one else was doing it.
Yeah.
Like weeks after the launch. Like just really quickly. You were on an airplane. You bought a ticket just to test that out.
I paid for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, then we have a new Contra game, Operation Galuga, which had been announced at a prior Nintendo Direct. And this is a way forward developed Contra title. It's 2D side-scrolling, as you'd hope from a Contra title.
Cool.
But,
I mean, that's what they're good at.
Yeah, it is using all 3D assets, though.
Oh, okay. Again, that's what they're good at.
Yeah, I will say the game look visually is not attractive.
Really?
Yeah, like to me. The gameplay looks like it could be really good.
Yeah.
But like visually it looks kind of barfy.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think of the old school Contras, there's a lot of green and brown.
Yeah, I just mean like I don't know. I feel like it would have played better to their strengths had they gone like the hand painted look that Way Forward's also known for.
Yeah, true.
As opposed to this 3D look, which I guess is probably less work ultimately. Yeah. I know, like making hand painted games.
Nah, it depends on the style of the game.
Okay.
Like if it's side scroll, maybe not. Maybe you're right, but if it's anything else,
oh yeah, like a full open world.
Forget it.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't even compare.
So I mean, I wasn't super. Like, looking at it visually, I was kind of like, oh, I don't think this is for me. But as I was watching the gameplay from the trailer, I thought, okay, that actually looks like a real legit Contra game.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, but I feel like they made a Contra game prior, like years ago. Way Forward's touched a lot of, like, big properties over the years. Mm-hmm. So I might be getting them mixed up with something else.
Matthew has been working on their their gameography page on their website.
Okay.
So that he's actually updated like their whole gameography.
Right. Matthew, our talented composer of the Bit Beacon theme music.
And Seraphim.
And of course Seraphim. He's working at Way Forward, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He's employed at Way Forward.
Okay, well, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if he wants me to talk about that.
Well, we won't talk about it too much more than we have.
But, yeah, congratulations, Matthew. We're proud of you.
That's awesome.
It's a shout out. We've shouted him out before.
Oh, yeah, we have. You know what? Actually, real quick, I want to give a shout out after we finish this section. Don't let me forget.
Okay.
Okay, and then at the Nintendo Direct, we mentioned this in last week's episode, but Pentiment and Grounded from Xbox Game Studios are coming to Switch alongside PS5. So we'll just kind of re-mention that those two were unveiled as part of the Nintendo Direct. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, here was a pretty big one. We have Shin Megami Tensei 5, which came out a couple of years ago on Switch, but now we have Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance.
Yeah.
Which is an expanded version of the game. I believe it includes all the previously released DLC, as well as a brand new story route that I guess goes in like a totally different direction than the original game did. You can still play through the original route on this, but you can also go the expanded route.
So, we choose a path type of thing?
Yeah, I'm sure choices you make through the game.
Yeah, that's how 4 was too.
Yeah. Shin Megami Tensei 4 had the base game, and then it also had the Apocalypse game.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is different from this, because this is an expanded version of 5, whereas Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse was like a brand new game altogether.
Right.
Like from ground up.
I mean, even in Shin Megami Tensei 4, the base game, there were like multiple, like your dialogue choices made, like
there were different endings in that game.
The good ending, the evil ending, etc.
And this game is not just coming to Switch, it's also now, which Shin Megami Tensei 5 was only available on Switch originally. Now it's coming over to PS5 and Xbox as well.
Gotcha.
Okay, then we have a couple ports coming up here. We have Monster Hunter Stories, which there's already... Monster Hunter Stories 2 came out for Switch a couple years ago, but this is a port of the 3DS game, Monster Hunter Stories, to Switch. And I believe this is also going to be launching on PlayStation 5, PC, and maybe Xbox, maybe not. So yeah, the original 3DS game was pretty well received. Players really liked it. I've heard from people that have played 2, like it would be hard to go back to playing like 1 played, because they made like a lot of like quality of life improvements from the first game.
What?
So like
like Monster Hunter 1 played.
So Monster Hunter Stories played People liked it, but then when people moved on to Monster Hunter Stories 2, they were like, "Oh wow, they made so many great improvements."
Oh, I see what
to
you're
have
saying.
The gameplay. So now it's like they're re-releasing 1 after they just released 2 like a year, 2 years ago. Yeah. So it's like
it'd be hard to go back.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Still, I have yet to play 2, and unfortunately, I'd never picked up the original Monster Hunter Stories for 3DS, and it's gotten quite expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
To purchase physically now. So this is good that there's a new opportunity for people to pick up a game. Hopefully it's releasing physically. I don't think there's been any announcement of that quite yet.
Well, Capcom is always iffy.
Capcom is iffy. And a lot of times, like, if they do physical, they only do it for Switch.
Yeah. Right.
Especially with these more, like, kind of niche titles.
Yep.
And then we have a game from Game Freak.
Oh.
Pocket Card Jockey Ride On. So Pocket Card Jockey originally released on the 3DS and was ported in the last year or two to Apple Arcade.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was like an enhanced port. Like the graphics were updated and HDified, you know. And now it seems like that Apple Arcade port is going to be the one that's coming to the Switch.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a port begets another port.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah. And so this is a game. It's like a jockey horse racing game that mixes in solitaire somehow. So, and I've heard very, very, very good things about this game. I think it was an eShop only release originally on the 3DS. And this is probably going to be a digital only release if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Although Game Freak has partnered with Limited Run before on a previous game, so I don't know. Maybe Limited Run makes something happen here. I would love to own every Game Freak game physically if I can. So maybe something like that happens. And so we have 2 more announcements. Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. So this is the first truly new from the ground up Super Monkey Ball game in a long time.
Yeah.
There have been Super Monkey Ball games released in the last couple of years, but they have been like compilations of older Super Monkey Ball games.
How many were there? There were like 1 and 2 on GameCube.
1 and 2, and then I think some like party games.
I'm pretty sure there was a handheld one at one point.
You might be right about that. Yeah. And I know there was like a party game too, like a party style game. And so those games have all been sort of ported, like sort of a weird like mishmash ports of like multiple games into one game.
There was one on Game Boy Advance. I'm almost positive.
All right, you might be right. Yeah, I'm talking specifically the main console, not the handheld one so much. So this is a brand new Super Monkey Ball game. It's got the traditional gameplay style. It's what fans have been asking for. They don't want don't give us gimmicks.
Yeah.
Just give me Super Monkey Ball.
Right.
Give me 250 new levels of Super Monkey Ball. And that's what players are finally getting. So I know that was exciting for a lot of people.
That's a first-party Sega thing,
it is.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And then Nintendo ended the program, kind of breaking their own rule by calling this Nintendo Direct a partner showcase, because this is a Nintendo published title that's coming up. It's Endless Ocean Luminous. Now, Endless Ocean was a series on the Nintendo Wii where you're like a diver, just like kind of swimming in the ocean and just exploring. It was kind of a more peaceful game. It's not really like a crazy, intense game.
Yeah, not high action.
Yeah. But it had kind of a niche following. It's kind of crazy to see that another one's coming. This isn't developed internally by Nintendo, though.
Yeah.
It is being published by them. I believe it's developed by a company, Arika, Arika.
That's still a partner's game.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, this would be something I think you normally see
in the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, because it is published by them.
Right.
It reminds me of the Another Code remake,
right?
Which is done by Arc System Works, the people who make like fighting games and visual novels.
Right.
So kind of a good fit. And that was in a main Nintendo Direct,
right?
Yeah, but I guess they threw this in there as like kind of a hey, here's one little treat from us,
right?
And this game features something that kind of was a little out there and crazy. 30-player co-op, like ocean exploration mode.
Crazy.
So with up to 30 people, which I think you can be like randomly matched with, you can all just kind of dive into the ocean together at the same time and just go around and explore together.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting rather than just like, okay, here's swimming on your own.
Yeah.
But I mean, part of me was like, is this like a, what do they call those Fortnite style games?
Oh,
Battle Royale.
No, yeah, that's but isn't it like a drop-in hero something or another?
No, I was thinking of Battle Royale.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's any battling going on in Endless Ocean.
Right.
But yeah, this game is like teasing being able to like explore like the deepest, darkest depths.
I was going in like a No Man's Sky direction.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When I was thinking of that.
Yeah, like the video they showed was like all the players like starting in the same spot together.
Oh,
like all huddled up.
Gotcha.
And then I think you just kind of venture out from there. I don't really know. I never played Endless Ocean on Wii.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know what to expect from this. It's kind of like for me, it feels like a hard sell.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
I mean, if Nintendo's going to like insert themselves, at least it's something that's, not
like, I'm happy for Endless Ocean fans.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're like, this is, I mean, I love that they're resurrecting like dormant IPs. Like that's exciting to me. I just don't know, as someone, they need to do a better job, I guess, communicating like what's the gameplay loop.
Yeah,
like
right.
I mean, like, is it just like relaxing and swimming in the ocean, diving in the ocean? That's fine.
Right. I think this only works in certain circumstances, but I think not revealing the whole gameplay loop and leaving the rest to kind of intrigue is a valid,
I think with some games that does work.
Yeah.
Like if like you show gameplay and it's some guy shooting guns and stuff, it's like, oh well, that looks like fun.
We know what that is.
It's a shooting game.
Yeah.
I don't know the whole loop, but so like this is a swimming game.
Right.
Swimming games aren't really a genre.
Right.
Yeah,
but again though, they could show you something that just looks cool.
Yeah.
And then end it there.
Right.
And I still think that's valid.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I just me personally, well, like on one hand I'm thinking of the game like, okay, there's no way they're going to make a bunch of copies of this game.
Yeah.
Like there's no way.
Right.
So it's like one day, on one hand, I'm like, I need to be there day one for this.
Right.
Because I don't want to, like, not have a copy of it if it's like it ends up being really good,
Right.
But on the other hand, I'm like, is anyone even going to buy this?
Right.
Should I just wait for a discount?
Mm-hmm.
Which feels messed up to talk about because, like, clearly there's, like, developers, like, pouring their time and effort and, like, passion into this game.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't, I'm uninformed.
Right. It's
and you're right.
It
is nice. You don't necessarily want to be fully informed about everything.
Yeah, I understand where people are coming from. I kind of there's an obsession, I think, in the market of needing to know. I gotta know everything. I gotta know the gameplay loop. If I don't know what it is, but can't a developer or a publisher just show you something cool and then let you wonder what it is, or let you guys speculate on Twitter what it is?
Well, yeah, we're gonna have a discussion about something like that in a second.
Okay,
here. But yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, they did show gameplay of Endless Ocean. It wasn't like completely ambiguous.
Right.
I'm just like, so I just log in and I go swimming for an hour. Like, I mean, that's okay if that's what it is.
Right.
And I just wonder, are you like doing? And I think maybe they showed some. I think there's like maybe like tasks and like research. Like you're like a biologist or something.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess there's probably like a mission structure.
Yeah, I'm sure like it's that. Not just swimming open world.
I mean, there might be like a free swim mode.
No direction.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what Minecraft was.
Yeah. But that was a creation game.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So from the Nintendo Direct, we're going to jump into a discussion about another sort of announcement program.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Pokemon Day, aka the anniversary of Pokemon Red and Green's release in Japan,
yep,
was yesterday on February 27th. Again, we're recording this on the 28th. So they always typically annually do what they call a Pokemon Presents. It used to be a Pokemon Direct, but then I think in 2020 they shifted over to a Pokemon Presents format.
Yeah.
And these tend to have a typical format. There's news on a bunch of mobile games like Pokemon Go, Pokemon Cafe Remix, Pokemon Masters,
there's
Pokemon.
A lot of,
there's
like,
all these gacha
stuff.
games and microtransaction Pokemon games.
I like Pokemon spin-offs, but it's gotten a little crazy.
I'm not really a fan of the mobile effort.
That's what I mean.
Because they're all riddled with and I know I play a lot of Pokemon Go, so I'm kind of being hypocritical here, but they have
that's different.
They have way too many of these microtransaction games, and they're not putting out nearly as much like traditional home console games as they used to be.
Right.
In terms of spin-offs.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of the mobile games even, definitely a lot of the spin-offs are pretty cool, really cool. Like new Pokemon Snap.
Oh, yeah.
But and even some of the mobile spin-offs are cool concepts, like Pokemon Masters.
Oh, yeah, don't forget Pokemon Sleep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting concept, for sure.
Right.
Like, who else is making a game about sleeping?
Yeah, it's not like super generic game concepts. Like, Pokemon Masters and Pokemon Sleep are two examples of interesting concepts. I wish that effort was in more of a proper console.
I wish Masters was on console.
Exactly.
And not like a microtransaction game.
Right.
Because there's like a lot of cool like story stuff happening in Masters.
Right.
Where all these like famous trainers from all the video games are like meeting each other and having...
that could be like this cool thing, but
there's like voice acting
in
those games.
Yeah.
That's
the
crazy.
Presentation is really good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately it's on mobile.
Yeah.
And you know how we feel about
pay to win,
but also not physical, gonna go away.
It's gonna go away
on a server.
Yeah. So there were two, after the announcements about the existing mobile games, there were two notable announcements. One for the mobile crowd, and then another for the home console crowd.
Yep.
So the first one we'll talk about is the new mobile game, which is called Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. And what this is it's coming out later this year. It's essentially a abbreviated version of the Pokemon trading card game. It doesn't use the existing cards in the game. It might use some of the art from existing cards in the physical real-world trading card game.
Mm-hmm.
But like the moves have been changed for the cards and things like that. People have like seen some of the cards and compared them directly to their real-life counterpart, and like things are different.
Okay.
Basically, this is to try to make the game speedier and quicker, something akin to like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, where they found a way to abbreviate the experience so people can play in a 5-minute match online. Otherwise you got to commit to like 15, 20, 30 minutes to play a real match of the trading card game.
Right.
Now it's interesting, there's already a digital version of the trading card game.
Yeah.
And now there's going to be this sort of like almost a self-competing product.
Yeah.
Although I do feel like the version of the trading card, the digital version of the trading card and the card game that's already out there.
It's Pokemon Play, right?
I can't remember exactly what it is. But it's only available in like English-speaking territories. It's not even available in Japan, which is interesting.
Well, I know it's browser-based. Is it mobile too? The Pokemon Play?
Well, they got rid of the old client, and last year they put out a brand new one.
Okay.
So now it's got like a proper like mobile and like tablet app.
Oh, I got it.
I don't know if you can still access it via a web browser or not. I think it might be an app-only thing now.
Gotcha.
I think that's more of a way for like people who are into the competitive trading card game have a way to like practice when they're not at like tournaments and things, so they can play like people online.
Makes sense.
But this is going to be something that's meant for like everyone because it's going to be more simplified, and they have this mechanic where every day you can open 2 free booster packs of cards.
Yeah.
So like the trailer has this like guy walking around doing things in his life, and he gets a little chime on his phone, and that means, ooh, it's time to open a pack.
Mm-hmm.
They just sent me one. And then he like rips the thing off. The animations look really nice and slick.
Yeah.
Like the presentation is way nicer than the other trading card mobile game, which has like this kind of janky look to it.
Right.
Like it feels like some kind of Newgrounds game.
Yeah, right. I like how they do make the cards like 3D and stuff. You know, like you can rotate the card and it's like a card.
The art and like some of the art is like even like sticking out or like coming off the card.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's this cool new art aspect to the game, where like you can like really see the art, and like as you move your phone around, the card will kind of move around. You'll be able to see into everything. But just another mobile game from the Pokemon Company. And no doubt you're going to be able to spend real money to buy these digital booster packs.
Total gotcha game.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Don't get hoodwinked by 2 free packs.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you'll be like, oh, it's only $1 a booster pack.
Right.
That's better than I can get at Target.
Right.
But you're not actually getting anything.
You're getting nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you just get the 2 free packs and you make decks and stuff. I mean, sure, go have fun, but no doubt they want you to spend money.
Yeah, and if you're going to be any kind of competitive, you're going to have to spend.
Yeah. I mean, I do wonder, like, will they make, like, a true competitive version of that? Like, will they start incorporating it into, like, the World Championships that they have every year? Like, they have the main trading card.
I like to see spin-offs represented at those.
Yeah, me too. Pokken was represented for a while.
Which is cool.
Which was Pokemon's fighting game developed by
Namco.
Yeah, and the people who make Tekken.
Yeah.
Hence the name Pokken.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
They literally like...
It is Tekken Pokemon.
It is, yeah. God, I wish they'd make a sequel.
Yeah. There was.
Well, it was a enhanced...
Yeah.
An expanded port.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it unfortunately didn't set the world on fire, and they basically sunset it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but the big announcement, which was it was a very they didn't say a lot. They gave us a 2-minute trailer for a new game, Pokemon Legends Z to A.
Yeah.
So this game is set in the region of Kalos, specifically set within Lumiose City, which was the main huge town, the Paris-esque town.
Mm-hmm.
Kalos is basically heavily inspired by France.
Yeah, and it was X and Y's region.
X and Y's, yes, which was the first set of games on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And Nintendo put out a tweet shortly after the announcement saying that this game will be entirely set within the city.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, when I first hear that, I'm like, huh? You mean I'm not going to be in the wilderness at all?
Right.
But then I'm thinking, oh my God.
The city's going to be huge.
The city's going to be huge. It's going to be hyper detailed. There's probably going to be all kinds of interiors.
Mm-hmm.
Think about Paris. There's catacombs underneath Paris.
Yeah, right.
Okay, like now my mind is like, whoa, this has the potential to be some like Pokemon Coliseum level of like interesting.
Yeah.
And it's a Legends game, so that means we know it's going to play differently than the normal Pokemon games do.
Right.
Hopefully it keeps some of the catching mechanics. Dude, catching Pokemon in urban environments.
Yeah.
Like, we've never seen that before. Like, when you go into towns, you don't see wild Pokemon, you know?
Right.
But, like, when you're in a big city
you know that Pokemon, from the lore, exist in cities. Yeah. Like wild Pokemon.
There's Pidgeys perching up on...
Grimer and stuff.
Yeah.
Rattata.
So, I don't know. Like, this is really interesting to me. Like, really, really interesting. The fact that it's set completely within the city, I think... Like, I mean, I just imagine different neighborhoods, different cultures kind of clashing. You're going to have, like, these really grimy areas. You're going to have, these really la-di-da.
I don't set a bunch of expectations before the game comes
out. I am setting expectations. I'm just saying they have the potential. Like, this could be, like, really good.
Yeah.
Like, it has the potential to be, like, really impressive.
Expect it to be good.
And I think this is a smart way for Game Freak to handle especially another game that's coming on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
They've done some open world stuff now. Some mixed results.
Yeah.
So maybe they kind of scale that back a little bit. It can still be a big game, but it doesn't have to be an open world.
Right.
You know?
I don't think it will be. I mean, Legends Arceus wasn't open world.
Even Arceus was broken up into smaller, distinct areas.
Right.
So anyways, I mean, I love Legends Arceus. If this is following that same kind of vein of like doing something new, playing with how the game plays, I think that's really exciting. I would rather have this than just another traditional like remake game.
Yeah.
Now, people were surprised that they seemingly jumped past Generation 5, which was kind of the next game in line to get some sort of...
It's refreshing to see that.
Yeah. Like, because the expectation has just been, okay,
right.
they remade Gen
like,
4. So
yeah, they're breaking patterns. They're doing something you didn't expect.
Yeah.
They're being unpredictable, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Now, the title is interesting, Z to A. So, Z, I mean, maybe Zygarde. Obviously, Zygarde was the mythic or the Mewtwo-esque Pokemon of X and Y. Although Zygarde also had a really big influence in Generation 7.
Yeah, he did.
With the Ultra Sun. In fact, a bigger influence in those games than he did in X and Y.
I don't know. A might be Arceus, and it might be connected.
That's true.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the trailer says nothing.
Right. It shows some Pokemon, like models and stuff.
Yeah.
Which that's the kind of thing I pay attention to.
It has like this wireframe look.
Right,
to it,
wireframe kind of style. But I pay attention to what Pokemon are represented in the trailer because that gives me insight into what Pokemon are going to be in the game. And
well, okay, so I want to talk about this just a little bit more. So the trailer has like it shows these like wireframe Pokemon and people walking around, seemingly a modern day Lumio City.
Right.
It doesn't look like it's set in the past or the future. But the Legends games, from what we know, deal with the past so far. That's typically what a legend is.
Well, there's only been one Legend game.
Right. But I mean, when you look at the word legend.
Yeah.
Like a legend is...
A legend can be a current modern thing.
Okay.
Like we have, legends today,
Okay, but as the trailer was going on, like these like old looking parchment papers were like popping up on the screen, right? And it had like text, and then they would like in Pokemon language, and then it would like translate it.
Yeah, right.
And then it says something about the like urban redevelopment of like Lumio City or something.
Right.
So I don't know. Like they basically tell us nothing, but they give us all these weird little clues. And like you were just saying a minute ago about games showing too much, and like you were saying like now players can like theorize and speculate.
Right.
So that's kind of the mode that I'm in with the game right now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I do wonder. Maybe it'll be future. Maybe it'll be because it's like the redevelopment of a city. So that would mean? It in the trailer, one of the little lines of text that pops up is the redevelopment of Lumio City.
Oh, gotcha.
So that almost sounds like future.
Future Lumios.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be that.
I don't know. Yeah, I imagine this is a 2025 game. I should mention.
Yeah. So let's get to that.
Yeah, Pokemon has nothing. Pokemon generally always has something every holiday season for like the last decade.
I don't believe they're going to skip a year. There's no way.
It's hard to imagine.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
There'll be some news later on this year for sure. I'm in my mind.
If not, it would represent them breaking like a pattern that they've set for the last decade, effectively.
It might not be a new title. It could be DLC for Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind more DLC. I mentioned when I wrapped up the last DLC, I was like, man, I want to keep spending time in this world with these characters.
When I was talking about like inferring or speculating, theorizing and stuff, I was referring to mostly like gameplay loop and stuff like that. Showing a bunch of art, showing a bunch of story, and then letting people speculate on how it plays.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea how it's going to play.
Yeah. I mean, I assume it's going to inherit some mechanics
from Legends Arceus.
Yeah, exactly.
I would hope so.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how it couldn't.
Yeah.
Unless it's like... if this was like a more of a visual novel or something like that, and completely breaks away
Well,
from...
it's being developed by Game Freak.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's not like a spin-off team or something.
I don't see it being that different mechanically from...
Yeah. I mean, we know it's set entire... The only piece of trivia we know is it's set entire... Not trivia, but the only fact we know is it's set entirely within the city. Mm-hmm. The confines of the city. So, I mean, from that, yeah, you can really only theorize what that even means.
Right.
But we know we're not going to be out looking at vistas and climbing mountains and things like that like we were in Legends Arceus.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and Mega Evolution is back.
Oh yeah, they did tease that.
They did tease that Mega Evolution would be returning.
Which I'm very happy about that.
Because this is an opportunity to give new Mega Evolutions.
Yes.
To...
God, I hope they do it. They better do it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Pokemon Go is running out of Mega Evolutions.
Yeah. Hurry up. We need to get...
So yeah, I really think... They're almost thinking about it from that perspective, too. Like, if we make new Mega Evolutions in this game, then that means...
They have Sword and Shield's whole Gigantamax list to play with, too.
Yeah.
If they wanted to implement that like Mega Evolutions.
They could do that. I mean, imagine Charizard's, like, Pokemon page. You got 2 different Mega Evolutions. You got a Gigantamax. I mean, like, the amount of, like, information on his, like, stat screen is gonna get, like, it's absurd.
In Go, it's gonna look like Bulbapedia or something, you know.
So yeah, I think this is smart because I think they know Pokemon Go. Hey, it's like Mega Evolution, the revamp of Mega Evolution in Pokemon Go has actually been pretty popular.
Yeah.
Players have responded really well to it.
What I like about it is it gives it legitimacy over being just a gimmick for one generation, and then they ditch it and throw it in the trash and move on.
Yeah. I mean, Legends ZA will mark the first time they've ever revisited like...
Now they need to bring back Z moves. That's where my head's at. Like, honor what you created.
Well, yeah, because Sun and Moon had Megas and Z moves side by side. You could only use one per battle.
Right.
You couldn't use both.
Right.
But, like, they both coexisted side by side.
Right.
And since then, each game's gimmick has only existed in that game
exactly.
alone.
And with Scarlet and Violet, we have the Terraform stuff. You know, I don't want to see that stuff just exist in one generation and then it's gone. And
my hope would be that, like, this is them bringing back Mega Evolution for good.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Like them,
they did represent it in like Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, and it's represented in Pokemon Go, so it's more legitimate than just
any of the other gimmicks have been.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully that's a sign of good things to come.
Yeah.
But anyways, maybe we'll see more on this game this year. It being a 2025 title, Nintendo usually has a presentation in the summer, so it's possible we might get a little peek at it then. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, we're supposedly only weeks away from having Nintendo announce the Switch successor, according to what insiders have been alluding to recently.
Right.
So we'll see. Let's jump into our next topic. We've got Microsoft. Last week, in the last episode, we talked about their business update. And this week, Phil Spencer sat down with journalist Steven Toledo to clarify some things. And specifically, Steven asked Xbox about the state. Asked Phil Spencer about the state.
We're on
Xbox.
episode 2 tonight, guys.
Yes. And Phil said this about the state of Xbox. He said, "I don't think we're doing a good enough job finding new players. Let's pick consoles as a good example. We found 200 million global households that play console games, and that number really hasn't changed in the last 5-6 years. We've raised the price of games. We went through COVID. We found ways of getting more money per player. I think at some point you reach a peak on that, and frankly, it can go to some places that are manipulative that I'm not a big fan of. The solution is to find new customers, and you find new customers through new ways of delivering games to players who can't play those games today, whether that's device, whether that's access, whether that's price point of video games.
Okay, so as refreshing as that is to hear from CEO Phil Spencer.
Specifically, what's refreshing to hear?
The part where he says, we've raised the price of games. Wait, where is it?
You're talking about when...
Oh, yeah, we went through COVID. We found ways of getting more money per player. I think at some point you reach a peak on that, and frankly, it can go to some places that are manipulative that I'm not a big fan of.
So he's basically saying the players that we have, he doesn't want to milk them too hard.
Right. That's what that means. So although it's refreshing to hear a CEO talk like that, where he's talking from a pro-consumer perspective, we need to remember that he's a CEO.
Yeah.
And they talk out one side of their mouth and the other side at the same time. Yeah. And what he's... Yeah. This is him realizing that they're not going to be able to do this indefinitely.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to just jack up prices.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Like, they have to look outside of Xbox console buyers.
Right.
To find more revenue.
Yes. They need to, like, bring more people into the Xbox sphere. And
whether they do it
right.
by, he says, access, meaning like where they get their games, the devices they get their games on,
right,
and various prices for video games.
Right. Which, you know, does Microsoft really need to grow? I think they could just stay, you know, like with the people they have and just be content with what they have. But, you know, no.
Yeah,
we need more.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's always more.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a public company.
Right. Yeah.
Just the status quo, just turning a profit is not enough.
Right.
There needs to be a bigger profit.
Right. We need
every year, year on year, we need growth.
Bigger return on our investment. So, you know, screw this consumers more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at least he's realized that, like, okay, we probably can't push them.
Yeah, we can't just keep jacking up the price and nickel and diming everybody forever.
So I think he's going the best approach about it. If his ultimatum is get more money, then he's got to make decisions that involve sending Xbox games.
That involve actual work and not just jacking up the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Spencer also spoke about, I don't have a direct quote on this one, but he spoke about how cloud gaming is not meant to replace console gaming, but more as a means to find new markets that would never be console markets to begin with. Mm-hmm. So he's probably talking about places like India, where they're not really, they don't really do consoles.
Yeah.
Like they just haven't caught on over there.
Yeah.
They're really expensive,
but
like if you have a smart TV nowadays, like especially certain Samsung TVs, Microsoft's partnered with them to deliver Xbox like cloud streaming through those TVs. So all you need is a controller.
Right. You're thinking about new territories and stuff, and you might be very right. I was thinking about new markets, like new sort of enclaves, like audiences, like tapping into mobile gamers or tapping into, I don't know, people who like to consume.
Yeah, I don't know that Xbox really has a lot of mobile venture. Well, okay, now they do because they bought King.
Right.
So now they own Candy Crush.
But I mean, bringing them in, like finding out, like, you know, we have a new way to play games with streaming, opening up new paths to playing games. Can bring in new people who otherwise were never attracted, you know, just in general, you know, so, I don't know, tapping into other parts of the U.S. market.
Okay.
As well as, you know, regions and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I took this to mean that he was, like, wanting to find, like, places where, because he says places that would never be console markets to begin with.
Yeah, you might be right. It might be a regional
I mean, I think phones are... I mean, everyone has phones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe phones are. I feel like a lot of companies, Like, Nintendo has put out a lot of, like, mobile games over the last few years. And they've all, for the most part, kind of closed down.
Also, I mean, certain moves from Xbox might support what I'm saying in the PC space, like bringing in, again, via new ways to play games, people who game on PC.
Well, most Xbox games release day one alongside on PC.
A PC, yeah.
Sony hasn't. Sony has a strategy where they wait like a year before they put it on PC.
Right.
They kind of broke that recently with that Helldivers game, Helldivers 2.
Sony's in a different situation, I think, than Microsoft in that regard.
Definitely. But it's crazy. Sony has seen tremendous success by releasing Helldivers 2 on PC day one alongside PS5. Like, so much so that like players are like crashing those game servers.
Yeah.
Like, it's like insane. And there's like a higher ratio of people buying it on PC than on PS5, which is also pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So Sony's probably rethinking like, whoa, maybe we should do a little more of this day one stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you release a game a year or two after it's already been on the market.
Yeah, it's old news.
Yeah. You're going to have some people that are going to buy it and want to play it.
Right.
But not the same amount of people as if it was day one across both platforms.
Right, because your whole marketing hit has happened already. So
yeah, you're not going to drop another $100 million marketing
on new trailers and everything for a game that came out on.
I mean, they do, but they're not on TV.
Right,
they're just on their YouTube channel.
Right.
You know. Okay, when asked about the 1,900 jobs cut from Xbox Game Studio, Phil said, "This is where I start to not like him again."
Yeah.
He said, "I have a commitment to the company on the Xbox business being a profitable and growing part of Microsoft, and I need to put us in the best position for long-term growth. Most of that is about building great products that exceed their expectations and find millions of customers. But honestly, you know the cost of building the products inclusive of the people who work on them. I need to make sure we have enough of the right people and right number of people in the right places for us to succeed."
Yeah.
And that's basically what everyone is constantly saying in these, messages is, we need the right people, the right amount of people at the right place. But yeah, I mean, kind of ballsy that Stephen Toledo asked him about this.
Yeah.
Like straight up. But yeah, I mean, he was kind of straightforward and honest. He's like, my commitment is not to these people.
Right.
My commitment is to Microsoft.
Right. I mean, he's right.
I mean, that's his job, I guess.
Even if you're not a corporate CEO in a public corporation, even if you are just the founder of a AA studio or something, it's still your commitment.
Yeah.
Not, as much as painful as it is, like, the well-being and future of the company has to be your number one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So in a situation where you don't have the budget to support...
I mean, okay, but let's be honest. We both know Microsoft has the money.
Totally different. Yeah. They're just being...
With a AA studio, I can understand that, like, okay, our last game didn't do as big as we hoped it would.
Right.
So I can't sustain having a full-time staff while we're concepting the next game, so...
Rather than having 20 testers,
yeah,
we can get away with just having 12 testers,
right? I mean, and that still sucks.
Yeah,
but it's understandable,
right?
Whereas like Microsoft hires basically by acquiring Activision, Blizzard, and King.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of
people
that repeat what they already had.
Yeah, and so then I mean, some of that, yes. But some of it was like straight up just developers, like actual game developers losing their jobs.
Yeah, right.
Right. Like studios who were working on a game and had all those people because they needed all those people are now working on that game with less people than they had previously.
Right.
So it's not always a case of redundancy, although it is sometimes, especially with like the superfluous kind of non-developer related roles, I think.
Well, there are a lot of people, okay... I don't want to get in... Yeah, I'll save it for our later layoff discussion.
Sure. Okay, so lastly, he was asked about physical games and consoles without disk drives. This is what he said. He said, "We're supportive of physical media, but we don't have a need to drive that disproportionate to customer demand. We ship games physically and digitally, and we're really just following what the customers are doing. And I think our job in running Xbox is to deliver on the things that a majority of customers want. And right now, a majority of our customers are buying games digitally." Now, before we get to the next topic, or the next paragraph, I want to unpack that a little bit. So he's saying we're supportive of physical games, but we don't feel the need to drive that disproportionate to the customer demand. Basically saying more of our customers want digital than physical, so we're not going to emphasize physical all that much.
Right.
But what he's not telling you is that we created that digital demand that our customers have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that's the only option we give them.
Right.
And through Game Pass, there is no physical Game Pass.
Yeah, see, you're right. They sort of manipulated
their customers.
Right.
Into buying digitally.
Buying digitally, and then they call it what the customer wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's manipulative. That's manipulative as hell.
Yeah. Okay, so and then about a console without a disk drive, this is what he said. He said gaming consoles themselves have kind of become the last consumer electronic device which has a disk drive. And this is a real issue, just in terms of the number of manufacturers that are actually building drives and the cost associated with those. And when you think about cogs that we're going to put in a console, and you have fewer suppliers and fewer buyers, the cost of the drive does have an impact. But I will say our strategy does not hinge on people moving all digital and getting rid of physical. That's not a strategic thing for us. So on one hand, I feel a little reassured by this.
Well, yeah, it's basically the gist of what he's saying is we're not getting rid of it yet.
Yeah.
And Mr. Spencer, you don't have to have a disk drive. Nintendo Switch doesn't.
Right.
Like, you have other options for physical media.
What I'm getting from this is that if their next console, maybe the disc drive will be optional. Because what he's saying here is...
Sony's doing it right.
Well, they're doing it right, but they're doing it wrong at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're requiring an online activation for your
I'm not
disc drive.
talking about the new one. I'm talking about the current PS5.
Or they have a digital one.
Right.
Well, Xbox currently kind of has that too. They have the Series X, which only comes with the disc drive.
Yeah.
Then they have a Series S, which is technically a different console because the specs are different.
Right. That I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Because now
developers have to do double the work.
Now you're tying it to like a pro version.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Don't do that. Just have people who need the disc drive will pay more.
Yeah.
Like to have it. Just have that option available.
So yeah, what he's saying here is that like we're including disc drives in every Series X.
Right.
Whether or not they ever get used or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like what he wants is to have an option. So maybe they'll start making less of the disc drive option.
Right.
And more of the all digital option.
Right.
So that way they save money.
Yeah.
On something that people aren't going to use.
Right.
Which is the majority of Xbox customers, sadly, are all digital because
they're
Microsoft's own manipulation.
Yeah. They're probably the furthest in that direction.
Oh, yeah. By far. And so it sounds like he's saying, hey, we're going to still, for people who want physical, there will still be a way for you to continue forward.
Right.
But, like...
we'll leave you a little path off to the side.
But, the majority of our customers have been brainwashed.
Right.
Into thinking they want digital.
Right.
By us.
Purchasing something that doesn't exist.
Or not even purchasing, subscribing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is even worse.
That's crazy.
Because then at the end of the day, you'll have spent thousands of dollars subscribing to Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like 20 years from now, you're a Game Pass subscriber, right?
Right. How many games are in your game collection? Zero.
The moment you stop subscribing,
yeah,
it all goes away.
Yeah. Or the moment they take the service down, it all goes away. Yeah. It just doesn't make any damn sense. Like, who is so stupid?
Okay, I don't want to get accusatory.
I know, but like...
Because I know we have listeners who are PC gamers.
Yeah, that's fine. I respect those people. But, like, I'm talking about, you know, people's mental state when thinking about this. Logic. Yeah. Talking logic. Like,
you know what it is?
What makes sense?
I think most people, they just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I think some of them have thought about it, and they're like, I just don't care.
Yeah, I just want to play.
Yeah. It's hard for me to wrap my head around that mentality.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, like, understand it.
What bothers me is that those people are going to determine how it goes for us.
Yeah.
And that I have a problem with it.
Yeah. That's what sucks, is that, like, we're becoming more and more of the minority.
Yeah.
You know, whereas a few years ago it was like 50-50.
Yeah.
And now it's like 60-40.
Oh, at the beginning it was like 80-20.
Yeah. And it's just growing smaller.
Mm. So Disney has entered into an agreement with Sony Pictures to handle all of their DVD and Blu-ray distribution and release. And so Disney's looking to get out of the DVD and Blu-ray game, and they're going to Sony. They're commissioning Sony to handle all that.
Yeah, so that, I mean, Disney DVDs and Blu-rays are not going away per se, but Disney just doesn't want to do it anymore.
Right. Which as someone who doesn't really care all that much about Disney myself,
right,
I'd rather see Sony get that money.
Sure.
But I know that's not everyone's opinion. So in agreement with Sony, Disney will hand over the publishing and distribution duties for future and back catalog home video releases of Disney titles. Disney's probably looking at this as a cost-saving measure to cut loose their own internal division, of course.
Yeah, I mean, just eliminate, you know, like, hey, we've got a whole group of like 20, 50 people that work on this.
Yeah.
Let's let them go. Let Sony do it.
I mean...
Probably save money and make just as much as they were making before.
Right.
Because of the cost savings of letting all those people go.
So...
I mean, we haven't gotten confirmation. I mean, Disney must have their own publication department for, you know, DVDs and Blu-ray home video releases.
Of course they do.
So, I mean, these people...
With as inflexible as Disney just is in general, with all their partners and everything, I don't see them doing anything. This is like an out-of-character move for them.
Yeah.
They tend to keep everything proprietary and internal. But...
So, what I'm wondering is... Who's going to decide going forward which back catalog titles are going to stay in print?
I'm sure Disney will still make those decisions.
You think they'll dictate that to them?
Oh, yeah.
100%?
Oh, they love to dictate.
I mean, so I see this as almost maybe like a reset for whatever's on the market now.
Yeah.
Might not necessarily be on the market a year from now after this whole Sony rollout has happened. So I'm thinking, like, if there's like older movies that maybe Disney has still been keeping circulating, they might deprioritize some of that. You know, because it might be like, okay, well, that's way too many titles to have Sony distribute all at once.
Right.
You know, so let's just focus on like the newer stuff.
Right.
The garbage.
I don't know how much they're... Yeah, right. I don't know how much they're going to bring back old stuff. I know that Disney is notoriously protective of their properties, and extremely rigid and inflexible when it comes to other companies making any kind of decisions with anything to do with them.
Yeah.
When I worked at Technicolor, we did a lot of work for Disney, their work orders were a different color and were prioritized over any other work orders. So if you had a bunch of green work orders in your stack, I was in digital distribution, so sending files back to the client studios.
You should have sent them physically.
Well, we send them. We have to FTP them onto their server and add the metadata for their database.
Right.
And then you'd get like a yellow one come through. You put everything aside and handle that one. And the project manager sits with you on Disney's work orders. That's how Disney rolls.
Oh, wow.
And they'll come down on you. Like, yeah, we'll lose money if a mistake is made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I know how they are.
So yeah, I would just advise anyone, if you like to have certain movies. I know, like, for me, like, I love the movie Rocket Man from the 1997. And it has a home video DVD release, but it's, like, so obscure and weird. Like, Disney doesn't even have it on their streaming service, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I would not expect that title to stay in print. Like it's accessible for like $10 right now on Amazon.
Right.
Do not be shocked if that goes away.
Right.
You know, those kinds of movies go away.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, just a word to the wise. Grab an old Disney movie if you really love it. If it's not on streaming, remember, anything on streaming can be pulled at any moment.
Oh yeah, you don't own anything.
And these streaming services have showed that they're not afraid to pull their own content.
Right.
So they don't have to pay royalties.
Right.
To a bunch of people anymore.
Right, the distribution like Netflix and stuff. And also, I don't know how much longer DVD as a standard format is going to be around.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I work in a library and I order a lot of films and movies for the collection that we have. And I have noticed in recent years, some movies are getting Blu-ray only releases now.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's been going on for a long time.
Yeah. It's not the majority, but I would say, and it's actually pretty small now that I think about it, but it is happening. And I presume it will happen more. Although I do kind of feel like DVDs and Blu-rays are kind of hand in hand. And if like one goes, the other's probably going not far after it.
Yeah. Both are owned by Sony, right? Both formats.
I don't know about DVD, but I know that Sony sits on like the Blu-ray creators advisory board kind of thing. They get a portion of every single sale of every Blu-ray that's produced.
Right. At the end of the day, this is just more evidence that physical media is shrinking.
Yeah.
You know, and thankfully Sony was interested enough to take it over, and you know. Right,
but I mean, like, not every. I mean, Sony's looking at Disney. Oh, sure, we'll take your catalog of titles, no problem.
Right.
You know, but like other smaller film creators and publishers and distributors, if they decide to get out of DVDs and Blu-rays, they might just stop altogether. There might not be someone interested in taking on their work.
Not going to be a Sony around to pass it off to, or that you can afford.
Yeah.
Sad.
But not as sad
as this next story,
which just broke yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Sony has laid off 900 people from their gaming division, aka PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a statement from Jim Ryan.
Our boy
Jim Ryan, who's on his way out of Sony.
Yeah, his second heel is still in the door.
Yeah. So it's almost written like an article, and it even has a title.
Mm-hmm.
The title of this article on Sony Interactive Entertainment's like blog / newsroom is "Difficult News About Our Workforce."
Oh, this is going to be tough, guys.
So he first addresses a small note to the players or the readers, the people who aren't employees.
Right.
So I'll read that first because that one's kind of meant for our consumption.
Yeah.
The PlayStation community means everything to us. So I felt it was important to update you on a difficult day at our company. We have made the extremely hard decision to announce our plan to commence a reduction of our overall headcount globally by about 8%, or about 900 people, subject to local law and consolation processes. Employees across the globe, including our studios, are impacted. He's talking about first-party PlayStation studios.
Right.
These are incredibly talented people who've been a part of our success, and we are very grateful for their contributions. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future-ready ourselves to set the business up for what lies ahead. We need to deliver on expectations from developers and gamers and continue to propel future technology into gaming. So we took a step back to ensure we are set up to continue bringing the best gaming experiences to the community. For the players, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Below, I've shared a copy of the email I sent out to the company this morning to provide more context on our thinking. We deeply appreciate support and understanding from the PlayStation community as these decisions are very difficult. Please rest assured that our plans for reorganizing and streamlining are so we can continue to deliver the best gaming experiences possible.
It's all about the experience for the players.
The players.
Who else would they be making these decisions
Well, yeah, like why else would we be firing 900 people that make video games? But for the players.
Yeah, it's got to be for the players.
So I'm going to kind of skip around this letter to the developers and the people that are being let go. Just kind of get to some of the meat on the bones here.
Right.
The subject of the email was important update regarding organizational restructuring. There's that word that I struggle with.
Oh, yeah. Organizational.
Oof, that's a doozy.
Restructuring.
Team. It is important to provide you with updates about the business as often as possible. Today I am writing with sad news. Though discussions over the past few months about the evolving economic landscape, changes in the way we develop, distribute, and launch products, and ensuring our organization is future ready in this rapidly changing industry, we have concluded that tough decisions have become inevitable. AKA, you guys are all about to get fired.
Yeah.
The leadership team and I have made the incredibly difficult decision to restructure operation, which regrettably includes a reduction in our workforce, impacting very talented individuals who have contributed to our success.
Yeah, here we go. Compliment them.
You're so talented.
You're so great.
That we have to let you go.
Yeah.
After careful consideration and many leadership discussions over several months.
There must be a template going around, dude.
It has become clear changes need to be made to continue to grow the business and develop the company. We had to step back, look at our business holistically, and move forward focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company and delivering the best experiences possible for our community. The goal is to streamline our resources to ensure our continued success and the ability to deliver experiences gamers and creators have come to expect from us. I want to be transparent as possible with you, our partners, and our community about what this means. Basically, he just says that they're reducing the head count. There's going to be an impact on employees across all regions where they have business.
Mm-hmm.
Several PlayStation studios are affected. For those of you in the U.S., all impacted employees will be notified today. So that was yesterday. So everyone in the U.S. getting let go found out yesterday.
Yeah.
In the U.K., it is proposed that PlayStation Studios' London studio will close in its entirety. So like a straight, everyone at that studio losing their jobs.
Yeah.
And I have more to say about London Studios in a minute.
Hold on. London Studio is PlayStation's own first-party developer studio?
In London.
Okay.
In years past, they've been primarily focused on PSVR 1 games.
Okay, gotcha.
So they also said there's going to be reductions in Fire Sprite Studio, which I'll have more information on in a second. In Japan, they're just talking about each region has kind of certain restrictions and they have to go through like governmental things to let people go.
Right.
So Japan, there's some restrictions. In the UK, they have some restrictions. And then people in other countries, they're also beginning discussions. So people in the US were let go immediately yesterday because there's like zero protections for employees in the US. For those of you leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment, you are leaving this company with our deepest respect and appreciation for all your efforts during your tenure. For those who will be staying at SIE, we will be saying goodbye to friends and colleagues that we cherish during this process, and this will be painful. Your resilience, sensitivity, and adaptiveness will be critical in the weeks and months to come. This will not be easy, and I am aware of the impact it will have on well-being. Affected employees will receive support, including severance benefits. While these are challenging times, it is not indicative of a lack of strength in our company, our brand, or our industry. Our goal is to remain agile and adaptable and continue to focus on delivering the best gaming experiences possible now and into the future. Thank you for your understanding during this difficult period. Please be kind to yourselves and to each other. Jim.
That's enough of that crap. The statements by these companies that make these big layoff cuts is like insult to injury in a lot of cases. There's only been like one or two examples of statements that were actually decent, and it's just like so out of touch. I don't see it as a good move. I don't see it as smart or intelligent. It's just, a bunch of word pasta that is just makes more questions for the person getting let go. Like, if I'm so great, why are you letting me go?
Yeah.
Every
one of these things says that. How great you are, how perfect you are, how much you contributed. You're amazing, but goodbye.
What's more concerning, or I guess concerning is the wrong word. What's worse are the companies that have been confirmed to be affected here by Jason Schreier of Bloomberg. Naughty Dog, Insomniac, Guerrilla are all facing layoffs.
And these are basically Sony's three biggest and like most productive in terms of like income generating, big, huge, massive tentpole games.
Yeah. Naughty Dog and Insomniac, both like, why would you? That they should be what Sony is like fighting to protect. Those studios.
If anyone's being let go, it shouldn't be them.
Yeah.
And then you have Guerrilla, who has made the Killzone games originally, and now they've been making the Horizon games, which have become huge.
Right.
So it's like a head scratcher. Like, why are you It's like. Feels like you're hurting yourself. You're only going to make your games take longer to make.
Yeah.
Now. Like, you're not releasing anything this year. Well, you might not be releasing anything next year either.
Before we get to more of these details, I want to point out something real quick. The closure of the London studio is particularly interesting because to me it indicates maybe Sony is starting to give up on VR.
Well, okay, I have some details here about the London studio specifically. We can jump to that before we talk about the other two studios that I wanted to mention. So London Studios was working on a new game that was set to be a cooperative fantasy game set in modern-day London. Live service elements. It was not going to be a VR game. It was going to, just do away with that as a requirement and just be for anyone with the PlayStation 5.
Gotcha.
In 2022, London Studios won Game Industry Biz's Best Place to Work award.
Wow.
And just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's like an award that like people who work there have to like submit their own studio.
Right. Like tell their story.
Yeah, like, hey, wow, this place is amazing. I love working here. Okay, here's the real stinger. Jim Ryan, who's exiting PlayStation.
Like, doesn't like go away. Just you're on your way out.
Just wait for this. 5 days ago, he's been doing this kind of farewell tour at all the PlayStation studios, God. Stopping by. He was at London Studios 5 days ago.
Wow.
Saying like, "Oh, I'm out of here, guys." Yeah, and like on his way out, there's a picture. I gotta show it to you.
He knew. Like, there's no way he didn't.
He said over the last several months we've been working on this. Here he is with team members of London
Right.
Studios smiling, taking a big
photos.
picture with everyone,
Wow,
knowing
man.
full well that next week
They're all
these
gone.
people are gone.
Yeah, they're all dead.
He is a monster.
Yeah, that is really bad. Wow, that is
He probably went thinking, well, if I don't show up there, they're going to think that's weird.
Right.
So I better show up.
right. Just to cover for this layoff.
Well, we heard he's going everywhere else. Why doesn't he come here?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's just heartless, soulless. That's why these guys get paid so much. They get paid like news anchor money.
Yeah.
Because like news anchors, they sell their soul.
They deliver bad news.
They deliver like news that they know is false and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's what he's doing here.
Yeah.
He's smiling and giving them the impression they're doing a great job.
Oh, this is great, guys. You're all doing wonderful. Okay, I'm out of here. Bye.
Yeah. Just
Another UK studio, Firesprite, which was only acquired by Sony back in 2021,
yeah.
has canceled their in-development Twisted Metal game and will lay off a number of staff.
Oh,
Twisted
my
Metal
God.
was set to make a comeback.
Oh my God. No. No.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the studio's not being closed, but basically people who were working on that are gone and the game is canceled.
God, dude. They couldn't just let them finish it and then lay them off? Like...
You sound like the gamer who's like, just give me my game.
I know. It's horrible. I don't want them to leave, but if it's gonna happen, at least finish the Twisted Metal game.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Do you remember a couple months ago, during the Insomniac leak, there was like an email from Ted Price that was found where he was like, oh, I heard that they're going to close a studio.
Yeah.
And that studio was London Studios.
Yeah. Now we know. Man, this sucks. End transmission.